Oakland Raiders and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Super Bowl 37.
We're world champs, nigga!
They're gonna catch another shit. And it's like you know this, so it's time to flip the script. Cruising through the bay on that Buccaneer battleship, sold up, screaming out, so fuck what you heard. So fuck what you heard. So fuck what you heard.
All right, welcome to another edition of Buck What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Super Heavyweight. Oops, wait a minute. You can reach me at Buck What You Heard. My bad. I get so used to saying that. You can reach me at Buck What You Heard on Twitter. You follow me, I'll follow you back. And I am joined tonight by my esteemed colleague, the GM himself, Michael Pless. How you doing, Michael?
I'm going to be back on.
Oh, yeah. So, very disappointing loss to the Atlanta Falcons. And, I've watched a lot of podcasts. I've been watching a lot of podcasts. And the one thing that kind of has been the norm was questions about the defense. And then we got a response to that when Mike Smith was finally relieved of his duties, and he's no longer calling the plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And from what I've seen from everything on social media, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Twitter, the consensus is everybody's glad that he's no longer calling plays. So what now? What happens to this defense now that Mike Smith is no longer in charge? And I want to come to you because you've written some very insightful articles where you were breaking down plays, and you're talking about a lot of things that have been somewhat missing from this defense. And I'll touch on that. I'll kind of give my take on it, but I really would appreciate kind of hearing from you.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the whole Mike Smith thing, I think it's, it shows like it's both parties involved. Like, it's not all Mike Smith. Yeah, his scheme and this and that could have been called better, and he could have put players in a better position, but it's up to these players, to be honest. I mean, these are the guys that are out on the field. They have to go out there and do their job. Now, if there was like some type of mutiny, within the players and they just weren't playing for Mike Smith, okay, I can see that. But you better come out this weekend and shut out. There's no reason why this defense is this bad. Like, they have talent on this team. It's important for these guys to do their job. And if they're not, then it really doesn't matter who the defensive coordinator is. Mark Duffner isn't going to change up the defense that much. They're going to run their scheme. That's what they have. So, yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but it was the right move to be made. I mean, for 3 years, Mike Smith's defense has gotten worse as each season goes on. So obviously there is some type of disconnect between the players and the coaching staff. But I think it's everybody needs to be accountable, and hopefully this is the start of it where people are now accountable. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, man. Again, for me, I'm kind of taking that wait and see approach because I kind of got roasted on Twitter for right after Mike Smith was fired. I was like, now what? Only because I've seen this movie before. I mean, we can go back to Raheem Morris when Raheem Morris was a defensive coordinator, calling the plays for Tampa.
Yeah,
the 4-win season, and he's gone. You bring in Greg Schiano. Greg Schiano brings in Bill Sheridan. Bill Sheridan is good for a couple of games, and then everybody wants him gone. I mean, to the point where they're telling him that he's not using Gerald McCoy right, which in my estimations he really wasn't. But he wanted to call the plays the way he wanted to. Enter a Lovie Smith. Lovie Smith brings in Leslie Frazier. Leslie Frazier is slowly but surely getting the defense turned around. When what happens, Lovie Smith starts calling the plays. And it's just like at that point, it doesn't get any better. It gets worse. It gets progressively worse throughout the season. And what's strikingly funny about this, I see a lot of similarities between Lovie Smith's defensive play calling and Mike Smith defensive play calling. I could be wrong, but just kind of going back and watching some of the games, that's what I'm seeing. So again, from Mike Smith, now we have Duffner in place. I'm hoping and praying that they can turn this around, that people will buy into what he's talking about doing, and let's turn this around and win some games. Like you said, there is too much talent on both sides of the ball for this team not to be successful. So again, maybe this may be the shot in the arm they need. So you know, that's all I can say. I don't want to come across as negative in any way. I'm just saying I've seen this movie before.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be a wake-up call, because like it's these players' responsibility. Like they just got a guy fired, and liked him, or they were not playing for him, or they did it on purpose to get him out of here. But still, you have to go, like there's no reason not to know where you're supposed to be on the field. Again, that's coaching as well. You know, it's the coach's job to coach these guys up during practice and making sure that they understand the scheme and understand what they're supposed to be doing as far as a coverage standpoint. But I mean, you have guys doing their own thing, playing out of assignment, not being in the right spots. That's what you beat when you're allowing easy third down conversions to the Falcon, again, 3rd and 10s, and you have a tight end wide, and no one around him. I mean, that's poor defense. No account on that side of the ball, and it's unfortunate because enough to win games. Like they've put up points, they've averaged 27 points. That's good enough, and if they had an average defense, we could probably be 4-1 right now. But instead, we're 2-3 because we don't know what to do as far as getting stops when needed, or finding ways to get timely turnovers. So
yeah,
it's a mixture of both.
The one thing that I will say about the Bucs, the defense at the beginning of the season, they were bad, but they weren't a liability. You saw them get key stops to get the offense back on the field, and the offense was able to take advantage of those 3-and-outs that they were getting. What you've seen these last three games has been nothing short of atrocious. People playing out of position, assignments. We talked about this right after the draft. We talked about execution. I can distinctly remember 2 or 3 podcasts where we mentioned, I would say about 5 or 6 times, execution and how important it is. And I'm sorry, but if your defensive coordinator can't get through to these guys that, hey, I need you to play in your assignment, you can't be going off like what you're doing, and it's just going to cost us games. You got to get that. You got to get that in check. That has to happen. And I don't. And again, it's one of those things. Does that turn on overnight, or what happens? This game against the Atlanta Falcons, I said this last week before the game, this was a winnable game. This is a game the Tampa Bay Bucs, had they executed, they should have won this game. I'm not impressed with the Atlanta Falcons. I'm sorry, but I'm just not. And this is a game that the Buccaneers beat themselves.
I mean, and defensively, it's just something that they have to be better, especially in the first half. Like you go down right away, 21-6, and like my guy Stephen Beck pointed out today in the article that he wrote. I mean, we're starting fast, but then you're chasing the game and you're chasing points. That's just something that you just can't do. You're down 21-6, so your offense is already behind the 8 ball. Now you can't really, run your game plan. You can't really run the football because you're trying to get points quickly. And, to give the defense credit, they did do a good job in the third quarter. They did make stops. I think they had like 4 or 5 stops in a row, but unfortunately the offense couldn't get their stuff together, and they only came away with 3 points. I think we had, the costly turnover inside the red zone. Just not capitalizing on opportunities. And then when we needed the defensive stop, they got the stop down late where they forced the 58-yard field goal. And of course, Matt Bryant nails it right down the middle. But
Brian,
just certain things like, the defense right before the half, that was terrible. You allow them to drive the ball in 20 seconds and they get a field goal. So it's just little things like that where they have to be better. Details, offensively, yeah, we can still be better, but they're doing their job. I mean, they're putting up points. 29 points should be enough to win you games. That's point blank and simple. I mean, granted, you look at the league now, not even 40 points is enough if you look at the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's like, defense is not easy, and I get that, but you have to make it at least tough on these guys. You can't let them just go right down the field and score. There has to be some type of resistance where you're making them earn every yard and not giving up free yards. That's something that you can see everybody's frustrated as far as fans, just seeing easy completions after completion after completion. Make these guys work for it at least. And if they do that and they still score, then okay, at least you made them, earn their yards. But it has to improve. And this week going up against a rookie quarterback, hopefully we can do something to, at least slow them down and not have them score over 30 points.
Yeah. And, fans should be upset. They have every right to be upset. This is like a carryover from last season, and this should have been corrected. The issues that you're seeing on the field right now are things that should have been fixed during the preseason, should have been fixed during camp. These are things that should have been addressed. They're playing like this is the first game of the season. The defense was where they're not playing in their assigned places and they're just being undisciplined. Quan Alexander going away, leaving open space for Julio Jones to fill in the void space and get these extra yards. I don't know. It's just frustrating for me just watching this and seeing that, on the defensive side of the ball, these guys aren't responding like they should be. And the only reason I say this is frustrating because I saw this with Lovie Smith in 2015. I saw this with Bill Sheridan. I saw the same thing. A defense that wasn't responding to to the schemes that he was running, and the whole team suffered for it. There has to be something there. Something has to change. Something has to stop in order to get past all this. This is just crazy that you can't make the kind of adjustments you need to at least slow down an offense.
Yeah, absolutely. And it starts with, starts up front. I mean, the front four needs to lead the way and start making plays. Like it's like you're getting one-on-ones and like these guys are paid a lot of money. They need to win those one-on-ones. Like now I know Gerald McCoy and Vinny Curry are probably going to be out this week, but like you have guys on the defensive line that need to win and help this secondary out. Your secondary is struggling. Yeah, they're rookies, but you gotta do something to make it easy for them to make plays, like whether that's bringing pressure or playing press the whole game, doing something to disrupt the timing of the offense. And again, it's like I'm repeating myself here weekly, but they don't get it as far as what they need to do to disrupt these guys. I mean, if you have a guy like Julio Jones and you just let him to free release every time, he's going to make plays. Like it's too easy for him to find holes in the zone coverage, get behind our linebackers and make easy plays, easy completions for Matt Ryan. Right. You got to do something to disrupt these guys, jam them on the line, push them, 5 yards out of bounds, do something, something different. Like it has to change, like you said.
Yeah. And again, I was looking at the old film from when Lovie Smith was coaching, and again, you're seeing cornerbacks playing 5 to 8 yards off the receiver. Same thing,
right?
I mean, it's just like it was like deja vu watching it. So I don't know. I hope things change. You've got 2 cornerbacks. I know they're young. I know they're rookies. But give them a chance to play to their strengths. Let's see what they can do. When they're able to play that man press. I know they can't play it every single snap, but they can play it a whole lot more and at least slow down some of these receivers. Because I think they're going up against Jarvis Landry and who's the receiver on the other side of the ball this week.
They're going to have Jarvis Landry. Yeah, Jarvis Landry, Antonio Callaway. There's another guy in there too. I think Rashad Higgins, I want to say. So there's a couple guys, but yeah, I completely agree with you. You got to let these guys play, let them play fast. But by saying that, these guys need to do their job, like be in the right position. That is something that is not happening. Guys are out of position too often, not where they're supposed to be. They have to be tighter in coverage. There's just no reason for. Say that again.
Is that a trust issue? Is that something where they're unsure that somebody's going to be there to help them, or somebody's playing where they're supposed to, or is this what do you see from this?
There's a lot of mixture. I think there's guys out there that are trying to do their own thing. They're trying to force the play and really try to make a play on the ball. But yeah, it could be a trust thing. It could also be a confidence thing. Guys are just not confident in this defense. It seems like they're just thinking way too much out there. So no, we're not missing Chris Conti. He's not the problem. He was out of position as well. So yeah, I mean, just too many guys are they're not locked in. Like there's just too many plays where guys are all over the place instead of being in the right spot. And that's something that comes with rookies, but that goes back to coaching as well. I mean, coaches need to make sure like this is simplified, not too hard on these guys and just let them play fast, because right now you have one guy playing man and then you have other guys playing zone coverage, and that just ruins the whole play. So you just can't have that. Everybody has to be on the same page. If you're going to play zone, then understand where you have to be and go to that spot. That's pretty much simple defense. Like if you're going to do that, then make it simple and let your pass rush get after the quarterback.
Yep, that's what you got to do. I have to ask you, when you're talking about this Atlanta Falcons game, what were your takeaways from this game as far as, the overall team? Is it something you think that are there things you think that they can build off of and take to the next game to do better?
Yeah, I mean, I like how they fought in the second half. Again, first half, I thought the offense needs to be more crisp. I think it needs to be better. I think they had 13 points in the first half. I would still like to see that closer to 17. But again, it's hard when your defense is pretty much on the field the whole first half because they're getting chewed, dissected by Matt Ryan. So yeah, I mean, red zone offense needs to be better too. Making extra points, just simple things like that. I thought Peyton Barber looked really good. I like how he ran the ball. I'm hoping he gets more carries. I like to see him get over 20 attempts. But again, it's a passing league. But yeah, I mean, the first half was disappointing, but the second half was encouraging. So if they can find a way to, garner that second half, keep that second half going and like capture it and just play like that for 4 quarters, they'll be okay. But they have to be more aggressive coming out of the first quarter, and they have to look to put up points early and often and really get their defense a lead, because right now defensively they need confidence as much as anybody, and they need to find a way to find that consistency, knowing that they can stop teams if they do what they're supposed to be doing, and that's their assignment.
Yeah, I think the most encouraging thing for me throughout this whole season is knowing that if this defense can get stops, if they're not the liability, these are winnable. These are all winnable games. You look at the Steelers game. This is a game where they got punched in the mouth and they came back. It's a game that if there were stops in key times in the game, it would be a different game. It would have been coached different. A lot of other things could have happened, and it would have put Tampa in a position to win. I know shoulda, coulda, woulda. I saw that in the chat, but all I'm saying is being able to make stops. Get your offense, get that offense off the field, get your offense on the field, and give them a chance to score. You've got a high-powered offense. Let's see what they can do. I guess kind of going into the next thing, I was very encouraged with Jameis Winston. I
Yeah.
turned off social media the majority of the week. I check in and check out because people are being critical of Jameis Winston and the 2 interceptions. This guy came out first game back from suspension, full game back from suspension, and he looked good. I thought a lot of his reads were better than what I saw last year. I thought I saw his composure was a lot better than what we would have saw last year. The hit out of bounds, I thought he was a consummate professional, getting up and just walking away, bringing Ryan Jensen with him away from the little scuffle that they had when he got hit. And I just thought that he just showed a lot more maturity. So to me, that's encouraging for me moving forward. Quarterback that he didn't make a lot of the mistakes that we saw last year either. So again, this is one of those things that I'm encouraged by that. And I think again, each one of these games that you're going to see are all winnable games. So I'm just looking forward to him making continuous progress.
Yeah, I loved how Jameis played. I didn't have a problem with the interceptions. I thought, the one interception on Deshaun Jackson's side, again, could have been a better throw, but that was a good job by the corner for the Falcons. He rerouted Deshaun more towards the middle of the field, towards the safety. And Jameis was trying to make a pass towards him, and unfortunately, the safety made a good jump on the route and just missed him. So, and then he almost connected with him again on a second time, but that was illegal contact and that was not called. So, it's just unfortunate bounces. Say that again.
The Chris Godwin interception, I thought that was pass interference because I didn't see the cornerback turning around looking for the ball. He was like blanketing over him, and I'm maybe on the rules here, but I thought if you're making a play for the ball, he should have at least turned his head to make a play for the ball, but he's all draped over him. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that one, but that one could have gone either.
Yeah, it could have gone either way. Again, that was just poor placement by Jameis. I thought if he threw it a little bit higher, Godwin probably makes that play. But I mean, interceptions are going to happen with Jameis. That's just who he is. He's a playmaker. He's going to try to put points on the board. Again, at the end of the day, he gave us a chance to win off with that crazy play at the end, and it would have worked if it was executed properly. Again, if Adam Humphries catches that ball on the bounce, he has a chance to throw it to Deshaun. It's an easy touchdown. So, it's a game of inches. That's what it is. I mean, you miss it here or there, it's either picked or it's a touchdown. So, I don't have a problem how Jameis played. I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah.
I like that he was hitting the checkdowns. So, I like that, and he was finding his tight ends. So, I don't have a problem with the offense. Again, defensively, that's where it comes down to for this team. The offense is going to put up points. And right now, if they can stay in the top 10 as far as a scoring offense, this is a playoff team if we get anything from our defense. I mean, if it's like 25th or better, we have a chance to go to the playoffs. That's how serious our offense is.
Yeah, most definitely. And think about this. Jameis Winston and Deshaun Jackson are getting the chemistry together. Like we talked about this right after the season. I was actually watching that podcast from January, and it's so funny. People were talking about trading Deshaun Jackson, and we both said it's a chemistry thing. It's not a lack of talent. It's not a lack of skill. It's the fact that these guys have not played together, and now that they have a season under their belt, whether it's Ryan Fitzpatrick or where's Jameis Winston, he's getting his touches, and I expect to see even more out of him, as the season progresses. So it's nice to have a Deshaun Jackson on the team. I hope to see more out of Chris Godwin. The number of drops that he's had is something that I'm sure that he's working on. But again, it's just one of those things. It's nice to have those kind of a luxury of those kind of weapons at your disposal.
Yeah, absolutely. And, if we can just tell our receivers to get out of bounds when it's in the 2-minute drill, that'd be nice as well. So that's something they need to work on. But, overall, I like how the offense is working. I like that Jameis is getting the tight ends more involved because that is a strength. So, yeah, I mean, I like everybody, even getting Adam Humphries. I mean, if Adam Humphries was 2 seconds faster, that would have been a touchdown, and then we wouldn't even be talking about, the turnover in the red zone. So I talk about when it's game of inches, like you have to be every little detail matters in this game. If you don't focus on the details, then you end up losing by, the littlest of points. Like it just comes back to bite you because every little detail in this game, it matters hugely. And it like one misstep, it comes back to bite you.
Yeah. What do they say? The devil's in the details.
Yeah, there you go.
Another person I kind of wanted to talk about was Ronald Jones. And I know that there are these through the ceiling high expectations for Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones is a rookie, and I'm not making excuses. It is what it is. He's a rookie. And I know that people have these high expectations for him. And I think, what I see from him, the little flashes that I do see from him, I do see big things for him, as the season progresses, maybe going into next season. But I like you mentioned earlier, I'm real happy with Peyton Barber and what Peyton Barber's doing. I just wish he could get more touches. I've watched games where he's been dominant, and he has had games where he's been dominant. And those are games where he's had more touches on the ball. And I think that is what we're missing. But when you have a high-powered offense like this, I remember Tom Metrics was on here, and we talked about it. And this was right after the Bucs had won those games. And there wasn't really a need to run the ball when you're scoring the way they were scoring. So, we're getting getting towards the middle of the season. And this is where the running game will really come into play, and it'll be an important part of this offense as we move forward.
Run the ball. It has to come naturally though. Like you can't force it. Like it has to become organic. Like I'm still in the mindset of forcing the pass and letting the pass guide your offense because it is a pass first league. It's stupid to run the ball on 1st and 10. Just that's my opinion. Like you should always throw it on 1st and 10 because it's just a more effective play. It's a higher efficient play. It's something that's going to work more consistently. But then at the same time, it's always good to mix in those runs, when they're expecting as far as, if you have 6-man boxes, then yeah, you need to take advantage of that. So I think, getting the ball more to Peyton Barber, I think that's going to be huge going forward. And I liked how he ran the ball. I mean, he just ran with authority and he ran with decisiveness. And that was something good to see. He wasn't really hesitating back there. And when he had to make people miss, he did that and he just kept going forward. So, yeah, he's a good player. And Ronald Jones, I think, is going to be fine. I liked how he caught the football. He caught the football. So that's a good step. He pass protected well. And, he ran the ball. I think he only had 1 carry, but he ran it well. I mean, he made guys miss and got 3 yards. So, yeah, he's on the right track. But I think the only concern on offense that I really have is the right guard position, and they finally fixed that. They started Evan Smith in the 4th quarter, and finally took Beninock out. So I think hopefully that's a change that we'll see on Sunday. With Evan Smith starting, and you can end the Beninock experiment and just let him be a rotational player as far as an extra lineman if needed.
Yeah. And people need to understand, I think he was a 5th or 6th round pick in the draft.
Yeah, 5th round pick.
Yeah, and that's what he is. He's a 5th round pick. And you can't have all these expectations for somebody like him. I know that he's shown flashes, but at the same time, there's every indication he can get your quarterback killed if things aren't put in check. And I think that the Bucs did the right thing putting Evan Smith in the 4th quarter. That was kind of mentioned that, but it's one of those things that worked out real good. So he would be good like you said, or as a rotational player, but just not. I just don't see him as a starter. He's a 5th round pick.
Right.
So we've kind of talked about the Atlanta Falcons, and we'll see them again. We'll see them again in Tampa. So that's going to be a good opportunity. And I kind of want to move forward to the Cleveland Browns game and talk a little bit about the Cleveland Browns because their defense is very underrated. I know that they had a rough game against the Chargers, but in the games that I've seen from this defense is very formidable when everybody's healthy and they're running the way they should. What have you seen from Cleveland, the team as a whole? What are you seeing from them? This is another winnable game, but again, this is a game that can easily get away as well.
Yeah, Cleveland is much improved. Like they're not 0-16 or the 1-15 team that they've shown in past years. They're definitely better. They could easily be. Let's see, what is their record? They could easily be. They could have 5 wins easily. Like all their games they've been in for the most part. Yeah, obviously, well, the Chargers game they were blown out, but so they could probably have 4 wins. Yeah, they could have 4 wins because they could have beat the Raiders and they could have beat Pittsburgh to start the year. So they're a very good team. But so are we. I think we're a better team than our record says. I know we're 2-3, but we could easily be 4-1. 4-1 right now. Again, if we made some, just some plays here and there. But that's the NFL. That's how close it is. Like every team could be a winning team pretty much because it comes down to 3 or 4 plays. It's just about executing those plays and being on top of it. But yeah, Cleveland very much improved. Obviously, you start with the quarterback and Baker Mayfield, who I thought was the best quarterback coming out in the draft. I thought he was the guy, really good, decisive, accurate, can run, strong arm. So yeah, I don't have a problem with their offense. As offensive line is shaky. I think that's where you're going to attack them. They do give up a lot of sacks. Running game can be dangerous, but they don't utilize it enough, in my opinion. But defensively is their strength right now, especially when they're healthy. But right now they got some injuries. They like to blitz. They will definitely bring the heat. So pass rush is good. Myles Garrett definitely is a stud. He's probably the first guy you have to look at because he can change the game with his pass rushing ability. And then with their rookie corner, Denzel Ward, he's been outstanding. So, yeah, they got some players back there, very fast. Yeah, I mean, a good team. It's going to be a good challenge for us. The Bucs definitely have to bring their best.
Yeah, most definitely. And they are a 3-4 defense, right?
They are a 3-4, but they mix it up. I mean, they're multiple as far as what they present. They'll sometimes bring, 4 rushers as far as defensive linemen, but then they'll mix it up with their linebackers. Now, they are missing a big piece this week in Joe Schobert, who's going to be out. So that's their big middle linebacker. He's good. But I mean, they still have some other guys. I think still have Jamie Collins and I think what's the other guy's name? Kinsey or Christian. I can't pronounce his last name, but he's good as well. So, but yeah, they have a bunch of guys along the defensive line is very stout.
Yeah, most definitely. So how does this Buccaneers defense and how do you slow down a Cleveland Browns team? And a question for you from the chat is Gerald McCoy, how serious is his injury?
He's going to be out. He won't play this week. I'll put it very simple. I mean, him and Vinny Curry are going to be out this week. And to be honest, I'm actually not sad about it because Gerald McCoy really hasn't been doing much lately. So for him to be out, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I guess we're going to see Noah Smith.
And on that point, Gene, that's where accountability needs to start right there with that guy. Not Noah Spence. I'm talking about Gerald McCoy.
Yeah, most definitely. And I've been since he was drafted, I've always been on his side. Hey, this is a guy that goes out and plays and he does what he needs to do. But as I look at I've been looking at the Buccaneers historically over the past decade, and the one thing that I've seen that's been the constant is Gerald McCoy. As
Right.
far as, a team that should be able to make that next step or do this or do that, and they've never been able to do it. But Gerald McCoy's always been there. He's gone to the Pro Bowl, but that's not helped with wins and losses with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What I don't know. I don't know how much more you're going to really get out of a Gerald McCoy at his age and with the injuries that he's had. I mean, there are games where he gets nicked up, but again, I don't know how much more you're going to get out of this guy. So I know people are probably going to boo me for saying this, but I'm just looking at the picture, and here's a guy that's supposed to be a leader on this team, and I'm sorry, you see splash plays from him, and then you don't hear from him, and he's either getting pushed around by offensive linemen or something's happening. Then again, you'll see him make a play, but after that, he'll just kind of slow down, and you don't see him again. It's just inconsistent. There's nothing consistent or dominant about him, in recent times.
Yeah, and I've defended him, just like you said, Gene. I mean, we both defended him and thought, hey, if he got some help, this would be the year that you finally step up and make those plays consistently and be an impact player, be a difference maker, a guy that can change the game in the fourth quarter and get you key turnovers like a Khalil Mack or like a Von Miller, guys like that can change the game. And that is something that Gerald McCoy just hasn't done. So, very disappointed as far as his ability not to win those one-on-one matchups that he is getting and he continues to get. But I'm kind of over it with the whole Gerald McCoy. I would not be sad if he left next year. It's just like you're supposed to be this all-star, you're this impact player, and there's just nothing from him, weekly. It's like, don't even see him on the stat sheet. He doesn't.
Not on a consistent basis. It's like, you plays here, you see spot plays here and there, but just nothing to speak of. And he does get into the Pro Bowl, which, I guess that's okay. But again, it doesn't contribute to wins and losses. I mean, to wins.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's no making a big play when your team needs it. And that is something that he has failed to do. And especially when you're getting one-on-ones and you can't beat your guy, and you're supposed to be this, great, defensive tackle in the league, or at least you think you are. Sorry, buddy, but he's playing average. I mean, it's average right now. And I'm okay with seeing a Vita Vea in there more often, a guy that can beat his man for sure, especially when he has one-on-one, a guy that can toss aside, Alex Max of the world and guys that can make plays. I mean, that's what matters. So, I don't have a problem with it, but we'll see.
Yeah, and speaking of Vita Vea, I've been very happy with what I've seen from him so far. I know that a lot of people were wanting other players, but I mean, what he's been brought in to do, he's actually doing it, and I'm happy with that. I think he will improve as the season progresses. With the limited number of games that he's had, I think that he's progressing. I'm fine with where he's at. I think that in the long run, if you're looking at the long game, I think it was a good move to get a guy like him, because you can find somebody else to line up next to him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Vita Vea is definitely worth the pick. I thought he was a good pick. He can make plays, and I mean, he's shown it so far. I mean, he made the key stop in the late in the game in the fourth quarter, just tossed his guy aside and really forced the running back into the linebackers. I mean, so he can make big plays, push in the pocket. He had a couple opportunities to get some sacks, just missed it because we couldn't cover for more than 2 seconds. So, I mean, he's got the ability. I mean, he's very powerful, and I think once he gets even more technique as far as what he needs to do as far as win consistently, he's going to be he's going to be pretty much unstoppable. He's a guy that can be a force. So I'm excited to see what he can do on Sunday, especially with a chance to start and be more in there on third downs. And also Noah Spence. Yeah. I mean, Noah Spence is going to play this week, and I'm hoping he shuts up the coaches as well, because I think he's been mistreated, and I think he should at least be given an opportunity to show that he can make plays and at least do what he's supposed to do, and that's get after the quarterback.
Yeah, you can't forget how to play football. And
Right.
he had flash plays before he got injured, and now he's 100% healthy. I'm not happy that they didn't try to get him on the field at some point. I mean, they were just pretty much taking him off. So I don't know. It's again, we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So just kind of switching to the other side of the ball, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense and what they've been able to do, how do you see the Tampa Bay offense matching up against this defense?
It's going to be tough. I mean, like I said, this is probably going to decide the game, because the Browns' strength is their defense, and like they just know how to attack as far as creating turnovers. They lead the league in turnovers. I think they have 16 already, which is incredible. Through, I think we played 5 games so far. So yeah, I mean, that's incredible right there. What they've been able to do as far as a defense. So they're definitely a challenge of what they can bring as far as a blitz package, and with our offense and knowing what our coaching staff likes to do, and their inability to be smart consistently. That's what scares me, because like they have to shorten up their offense as far as passing game and understanding how to run the football out of spread formation and doing some screen things and getting the ball out quick on slants and drags, which is not our offense. So I don't know. I just hope they have a good game plan.
Yeah, you need misdirection with all the speed that the Cleveland Browns have. You have to have some kind of misdirection too, because they have shown tendencies to overrun plays. So these are kind of things that they need to implement. I know they're not going to, but these are just little things that I've seen that can definitely help this team to win these games. And I have to ask you, this is a question that's been eating at me since the Steelers game. And I've talked to other people, and I've had other people ask me the same question. Do you feel like, and you can go ahead and shut me up if you want to, do you feel like Dirk Cutter has a little bit more influence on the offensive play calling as the season has progressed than he did when the season first started?
No, I think the offense has been the same. I mean, they're running the same plays they were in week 1 and 2. The problem is they were just executing at such a high level week 1 and 2 that it's kind of hidden, the fact, and then you had turnovers. Like we've had a stretch of turnovers week 3 through week 6 now. So, turnovers causes issues. Week 1, we didn't have any turnovers. Week 2, we had turnovers, but it didn't cost us the game. So, they're just not running as efficiently as they did in week 1 and 2, but Todd Monken is calling the plays. Now, that doesn't mean that Dirk Cutter isn't having a say in the play call. Sure he is. He's the head coach. I mean, he's going to have his influence in there. So, yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with how the play calling is going. Yeah, it's, you like to see different sequences as far as, getting guys in certain spots. But I did like what I saw from the offense as far as, getting Jameis more on the run and getting him out in the open as far as, with the pocket. They even ran a zone read with Jameis for a first down. So there's some good things still with this offense. Again, it comes back to execution. Like if we hit that play to Godwin in the red zone, then we're not talking about this. We're winning the game, and we're 3-2 instead of 2-3. So
yeah, a lot can change. I mean, again, this is a bipolar season. We had the 2 wins right out the gate, and then you have 3 losses. A lot can change. This is a time right now that they need to really turn this around. They need to right the ship. I think the Bucs need this game more than Cleveland needs this game, as far as keeping any hopes of getting to the playoffs, or your coach, keeping your coach employed. And kind of going back to the question somebody asked earlier, is it possible for Dirk Cutter to lose his job during the season? I don't see that it is. Things would have to go monstrously bad in order for that to happen. I just knowing the Glazers the way I do, and seeing how Jason Light and Dirk Cutter are connected, I just do not see that as a possibility. I think if anything happened after the season's over.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was telling Mark, Mark Ramirez, I was telling him, like, Raheem Morris lost 10 straight games and they didn't fire him, during the season. So I don't see them firing Dirk during the season. I still think this team has a chance to go on a run here. I think, you have 11 games left. This offense is good enough if they can figure it out on defense. Like I said, if the defense can just be average, this team can make a run out of the last 11 and go 10-6. Like, that is very possible. That can happen. Even do better than that. I could see a 9-2 and get 11 wins, but down to this players and coaching staff being accountable and doing their job. But I don't know. That's where I question it. Right now, like, if I'm being real, like, I expect this coaching staff probably to be let go just because of the tendencies that they've shown through their tenure, and the way that, like, they don't, for whatever reason, they don't attack weaknesses. And that's something that pisses me off. So, yeah, I mean, I'm hoping I'm wrong, and I'm hoping, like, this offense can take over and lead the way, but they just have to be more accountable. Like, these guys have to start doing their job and understanding, like, if we do this, the position to win. Like, it's very simple, but the Bucs, for whatever reason, make more things difficult than they need to be.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you a question. This is just, this is a fan show, and I've asked a lot of people this question, and I want to ask you, because I value your opinion on this. Can Dirk Cutter get this team to the playoffs and possibly win a game? Do you see him? Let's say, for instance, he won enough games, he got close to the playoffs, and he didn't make it. So they brought him back. They retained him for another year. They brought him in. Do you think that if he had everything lined up the way he wanted to, that this is a guy that could get this team to the playoffs and possibly win a game, realistically?
I don't know. I'm going to say no, because he hasn't done it yet. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's too much into the future.
Yeah.
I would
just kind of your thoughts were just based on his body of work so far with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I just was kind of wondering, you kind of got a sample size of a winning season, you've seen a losing season, and now here we are with this. I mean, just kind of what are your thoughts? Stephen Bass, but with that defense, but with what defense? The defense is, that again remains to be seen how this defense responds to the former defensive coordinator not here anymore. I'm really curious. I think that's the main reason that I'm really wanting to watch this game on Sunday, is just to see how this defense responds and where they go from here. Because again, if the defense can stop being a liability and it can get some key stops and get the offense back on the field, you're talking about a different situation.
Yeah, like I said, like, if the defense can just be average, like, they don't even have to be outstanding. Like, if they can just find a way to be better in situations as far as red zone defense and third down defense, then they'll be okay. But I just don't know. Again, like I said, my doubts are in this coaching staff. I said that before this season started. Like, if the coaching was okay, like, if we had a great staff, then we'd be in a good position. Like, but they make too many, I don't know. It's just like, it's WTF moments. Like, it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just hope they can figure it out. Again, they have the talent. Like, this is one of the most talented rosters in the NFL, and if they can just allow their talent to play fast and play how they should, then we have a good chance. But I don't know. You're just getting out coached way too many times,
and
consistently.
And that's big right there. And you're probably the fourth person that said that you just can't keep getting out coached at times. And it's one of those things where you saw it his rookie when he was a rookie coach, and you're like, okay, he's a rookie coach. I get it. But then you see the same thing over and over and over again. Time management, player personnel packages, little things, little details that aren't being addressed that you continually see. Things that should be addressed in the preseason that you're still seeing throughout the season. So again, this kind of goes back to, is he that guy? And I've just come to the conclusion that I'm not sure that he is, but I'm along for the ride. We're going to see what happens, and we'll know pretty soon. I do want to take a moment to shout out somebody, Rarely Even. Rarely Even's been following Buck What You Heard since the beginning. Today's happy birthday, and I do want to thank you for continually checking us out and listening to us, and being very supportive. I appreciate that. But
happy birthday.
Again, and I do want to kind of get back to this. This is a home game. I think the one thing, being a former season ticket holder myself, I remember how it was, and I feel bad for these people that are paying this money and getting the product that they're getting. It's frustrating, and that's why with home games, I want to see these wins more and more, just for the people that are paying the money to go to these games. I love everything Tampa, and again, it's just one of those things. I would love to see these fans get rewarded. You're going to the game. You're spending your hard-earned money to go watch a product. You really should be getting the most out of it. Stephen Bass, thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you for checking us out. I don't know, man. Again, this is an important game to me. I hate to see the Bucs lose home games, and it gets really frustrating after a while. Are you guys going to this game?
Won't be at this game. Gonna be watching on TV.
Okay, all right, that's what I'm talking about. So
we'll be at the Redskins game.
Okay, and the Redskins game, I need to look. I need to look for that, because I am going to eventually get down there. My work has kind of put me in a awkward position where I haven't had the time to do a lot of the stuff that I wanted to do this season, and probably the only thing I can guarantee is I'll be a Gasparilla this year. So that should be really entertaining right there. But I am looking forward to that as well. But again, we talked about Vita Vea, we talked about Jameis Winston, we talked about Gerald McCoy. Anybody else? I mean, we haven't talked about our linebackers. Our linebackers were supposed to be the strength of this team, and geez Louise, man, I just kind of shaking my head about this at times. And again, we have to kind of see how they react to this new coaching change and see if that changes anything or if anything happens. But they are a concern. I miss Kendall Beckwith, a guy who is somebody, and I've from what I've heard people alluding to he may be back soon, but I don't know. Right. We'll see him when we see him. Mitch Onrine is another person that's still under concussion protocol, so we don't know when we're going to see him possibly. So again, it's just one of those things. When the Bucs, I think when that line gets healthy and we get to see that line together, which I'm sure we will on the back end of the season, I think that'll be a great time for everybody to be getting healthy and going out there and playing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but we got to win this week. I mean, got to get back to 3-3 and start getting on the winning track and start making plays that we're supposed to be making, and just find some type of consistency, because you can't go in this league and just lose 3 in a row and then, win one and then lose one. And Like there has to be some type of streak and getting on a momentum, because you have to get on a roll, because every team that makes the playoffs, they go on a roll, they go on a run. That is something that this team has to do. But the only way that's going to start is if guys start being accountable and doing what they're supposed to be doing. Stop worrying about what other guys are doing and just focus on what your job is.
Right.
If your job is to play zone coverage, then play zone coverage. If your job is to play man, then stay with your guy. I mean, it's very simple. And if your job is to block, the linebacker going on a run play, then block the linebacker. I mean, it's simple football. Don't make it harder than it needs to be. Execute your game plan, attack weaknesses, and that's pretty much it. Like, you got to look at it like teams going in against us, like how they're going to see us. They know we suck against the pass. So what do you think they're going to do? They're going to pass the football. So you have to find a way to stop the pass. Like, you have to find a way to get after the quarterback at all costs. Like, forget about the run game, because they're not going to run the ball against you. I mean, we all thought the Bears were going to run the ball against us. They didn't do that. They threw 6 touchdowns on our ass because they knew their guys could get open. I mean, so yeah. I mean, it's just simple football.
Yeah, and X's and O's don't care about personnel, so you just got to get there and play in your assignment and make sure that it happens. So, I'm going to go through the chat here and make sure I haven't missed anything. We talked about somebody had the Dirk Cutter question. What are the chances if Dirk Cutter loses this game, he'll be fired? No, I just see Dirk Cutter making it. Willie Horace, I see Dirk Cutter making it through the season. So just buckle up and hope for the best. Let's see whether players or scheme. Whether it was players or scheme, Mike Smith's defense wasn't working for whatever reason. Something had to change. Absolutely. Again, folks, I don't want you to think that I'm disappointed that Mike Smith is gone. All I'm saying is that from past history with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, very little has changed. It's going to have to come from the players. It has a very little to do with it. I say very little, but not as much to do with the coach as it does to do with the players going out and executing plays, because there's a big difference from getting a 5-yard loss on a play on a running back to getting a 15-yard gain by the running back torching the defense. So a lot of that is on the field. These guys have to have their heads in the games, and they have to be able to make plays. Let's see. And I'm going through here, almost done. Hey, Douglas O'Connor, hopefully if you're still watching from Pewtercast, thank you for the flag. It's sitting back there. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Let's see. Good teams. Don't say shit or they get it done. Hargraves is a press corner. He comes in the NFL and the guy plays 10 yards off. Yeah, we haven't got to see him play his strength. So again, it's just one of those things that we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens when he comes back. Yeah, we talked about Jameis and Mike Evans. Mike Evans is quietly having an amazing season. And I think he's 14 yards away, or did he already break that record too? He's 14 yards away from breaking another record, but he's been balling out. He reached those plateaus sooner than I thought he would, but I figured it would be him and Jameis. But this was prior to the suspension, so there's that.
Right.
But again, I see Jameis, if not this season, by middle of next season, being the all-time leading passer in Bucs history. Trust and believe that. I mean, he could go on a run. He could go on a run with this offense. He could potentially go on a run right now through the end of the season and end up as the all-time leading passer. So keep your eye on Jameis Winston and what he's doing as well with that.
What would he need? Like 5,000 yards?
4,000 at the beginning of the season. I think it was like 4,200 something, somewhere off in there, 4,200, 4,300. I'll have to look it up. I'll have it.
He'll get it. He'll get it this year.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, he'll get it this year.
I've got, that's something I've been kind of keeping my eye on as well, because and you remember the show, we talked about it. I said Mike Evans would be the number one would be the leading passer in Buccaneer, leading receiver in Buccaneer history by the end of the season if everything worked out right without injuries and stuff. And I said the same thing about Jameis Winston. This was prior to the knowing about the suspension, but again, you know, with this offense that he has, the weapons that he has, that is still possible. So these are things to keep an eye on, and I'll definitely have those numbers next week when we do the show. But speaking of, it's been an hour already, believe it or not. Mike, as usual, man, you bring so much knowledge to the show, and you are really appreciated. I love your podcast. I think you guys are doing a great job with it as well. And what days are you guys doing your podcast on?
It's kind of up in the air. You know, right now it's mostly, you know, Monday, and then we'll have another one drop Friday night. So it just depends on our schedules. But yeah, I mean, we try to do at least twice a week, and yeah, you catch it on iTunes. We're on Google Play now, Podbean. So all those platforms, there it's available. I think we have 9 episodes so far. So yeah, not too bad.
You guys are churning them out, man. That's great.
Yep.
But you know, I'm glad you're still a part of this, and you know, Mark knows he's always welcome on here as well. And
for sure,
you guys are great. So I appreciate you. So folks, that's pretty much it for us. Again, I appreciate everybody that checks in, hits us up on the chat. Even after the show is over, there's somebody that will come in and make comments as well. And you guys are all appreciated. And before we go out, I just have to say there's no wrong way to root for this team. There are some people that are what we call realistic players, realistic fans that feel like, you know, they root for the team this way and everybody else is wrong. But then you have the homers, like, you know, I'm kind of middle ground homer kind of myself. But I want the best for this team. I want to see this team succeed. I want to see this team go to the playoffs. There's a lot that I have expectations about. And, you know, just to me, where this Buccaneers team is right now, they have an opportunity to do some big things regardless of the setback of the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that point, I just keep it logic. I mean, as long as we're talking logic, you know, then you got me. But yeah, I'm one of the biggest Bucs fans out there. I mean, right there with all of you guys. I mean, I want to see this team win, but at the same time, I'm not going to, you know, just say something to say something. It's going to be backed up with facts and context, and that's what it's about. I mean, we're going to try to say why this is happening. We're not just going to say, oh, this happened, okay, move on. But no, it's backed up with reason and thought. And but yeah, I mean, just cheer this team on. I mean, I know it's been tough because, you know, they consistently just let us down, but again, they're gonna turn this around and find ways to win.
Yeah, most definitely. It's a labor of love. It's got to deal with take the lumps in order to enjoy the wins. Hey, folks, that's pretty much it for us. And myself and Michael Pless, thank you so much for checking us out. And we are about to get out of here.
They come to catch another shit. Cannons locked and loaded, so it's time to flip the script. Cruising through the bay on that Buccaneer battleship, sold up, screaming out, so Buck, what you heard? So Buck, what you heard? So Buck, what you heard? So Buck, what you